It's Anita Haines with Stamp with Anita. Welcome to my Stamp with Anita page. Let me know you're here. Give me some hearts, some likes. Tell me in the comments. I have been coming live and I've been sharing the cards that we did for my Christmas card Stamp-A-Stack this year. And on Tuesday I shared card number 1 featuring the reindeers. All that fun. And on Wednesday I shared card number 2. How fun is that with the Snowy Wonder bundle? Yesterday I shared card number 3 using the Peaceful Evergreens, part of the Season of Elegance bundle. And today I'm back for the Shepherd's Care card. So, and this one is really fun because it has a special opening. So kind of a 3D easel card. I'm excited to share that with you today. Just a reminder, again, these 4 cards were part of my Christmas card Stamp-A-Stack that I had ladies in my studio last week, and they got to make a stack. So they got to make 3 each of 4 of those cards, and so they got to go home with 12 cards. But I am sharing with you today the final card, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera down to my desk here. I'm going to move everything out of the way here so that we can get started. Okay, so here we are. This is the card that we're going to be making, and again, it's part of this Christmas card Stamp-A-Stack. Let's go ahead and get started. This is the card that we're making, and again, it's featuring the Shepherd's Care. Sorry, my connection keeps going in and out on me. But let me go ahead and get the packets out, and we will go ahead and get started, and hopefully will stay. Now I'm going to stick that right there in the page so I have it. Okay, so here's my packets, all the pieces and parts. This is, we're going to be using this on the star, but it's the part of the pecan pie and clear ribboned adhesive back dots. This is what I have left. They come in pecan and then the clear, but it says ribbon because it's got like a little tiny little design inside there. It's kind of hard to see on the camera, but in person it's pretty cool. So I'm going to set that inside so I don't lose it. And then here are my pieces and parts. I've got Night of Navy cardstock that I'm using, and I cut this to 5.5 by 8.5, and then I scored it at right here at 1. Let me see, 1 1/4, 2.5, and then 5.5 if I was going this way. So this is simply going to go accordion style, and I'm going to use my bone folder to make sure that I get some really good creases on that. Okay. Oops. So there you have it. And then this piece is also Night of Navy, and it is cut at 3 inches by 8.5 and then scored at 4 1/4. And I'm going to fold that in half. Give that a good press. All right, so I have those set aside. And then you're going to have, I have a piece of boho blue that we're going to be layering with a piece of white, and then I have another piece of white that's going to be on the back of the card. This one we're going to stamp the shepherd on, and if you flip this card over, there's the message on the back. And then I have this another piece of white that's going right in here, and that's like what size do I have this one? This is, I don't even think, oh yeah, it's 5 1/4 by 2 3/4, and it's going to fit in that section right there where my little Bethlehem is going to be. So I have that piece, and then I also have layered white and then the boho blue that's going to be for the sentiment. And then I cut a circle out of that stitched stylish shapes dies. I love this. Or stitch shapes, stylish shape. It's stylish shapes. We used to have a set called Stitch Shapes, and I keep mixing it up, but this one's called Stylish Shapes. I love it. I've used it numerous times this week already. And then I cut this, again, when I planned my Stamp-A-Stack, we used the Iconic Celebrations DSP out of here. I've shared that all week with you. And so this is a piece that's cut from that. And I'm using the dove side. This side actually would be really pretty on here too. It's got the little stars, little sparkles, but I'm going to use the dove side. And I've got a piece of this ribbon, which I absolutely love. It's a Night of Navy, and it's got this gold, like glitter sparkles on there. Love it. So, and I've got the envelope. So those are all the pieces and parts. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, let's get all the pieces that we're going to need to be stamping. So I've got my stamp. I'm going to go ahead and start with my shepherd to start with, and I'm using our Memento ink pad, our black. Let's see. This is a bigger set, so I like to kind of ink this up like so. And then we're going to stamp this straight down and back up. What I love about this is the image itself has done a lot of the work for you. We're going to be coloring this similar to like we did with the reindeer on the first day, but there's so much shading already built into the stamp that it's going to make coloring so much easier. And I'm going to go ahead and clean this. Sorry, I'm probably shaking you. Clean that and get that out of the way. All right. And then we're going to stamp on this. Oops, sorry. This is actually going to go with this one. This one I'm going to stamp the message that's going to be going on to the back. And again, I'm going to use the Memento ink pad. Ink that up nicely. Let me get the center of that. I always seem to miss the center. And then we're just going to stamp that straight down. Back up. There you go. Perfect. Gonna clean that off. I'll do it up here instead of on the table so I'm not shaking it. And then I'm gonna go ahead and stamp this. Like I said, this is gonna be on the back, what would typically be on the inside of your card. I've got this little star. Got it upside down. I'm gonna actually stamp it off a couple times because I just want it kind of subtle on there. Just kind of a subtle impression. And then I'm going to take the little Bethlehem city and do the same thing. I'm going to ink it up, and I'm going to stamp it off just a couple times just to make it a little less defined. So there you have it. Actually, I'm going to save that out because I'm going to use that next. So that piece, this piece right here, I'm going to stamp with the Peace on Earth. Where we have it, and I'm going to line that up in there. And then the last thing I'm going to stamp is, again, this, the Bethlehem, but it's going to be on this piece. And as you notice on this card, it's stamped in here, but you're going to want to stamp it so that when your card closes, it doesn't, the piece on Earth doesn't cover it up, but you stamp it, position it so that you can get your star in. So you just kind of have to look at that and know that placement is important. You don't want it too high or too low or too far in. And this one, I'm going to go about, I'm thinking right about there is going to be good. And that's our stamping for now. So we'll take this aside, and actually I'm going to go ahead and stamp the envelope since we're in this stamping mode. This stamp is also in there. I'm actually going to pull that off, put it on a block. So, peace on earth, wonderful counselor, mighty God, everlasting Father. And I think I just got ink on my hands. I was trying to avoid that today. Yeah, I just stamped myself. And I'm going to actually just stamp this on the back of the envelope. So that way, at least for now, I've got all my stamping done. That's going to be using the Memento pad, so I can put that aside. All right. So now we're going to do some coloring on this, and I'm going to show you. Let me get all these pieces and parts aside here. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to do the coloring. Again, we're going back to using our blends. Love these. And I'm using, again, the blends come in, they come in a dual pack. So it comes in a light and a dark, and I'm using the light boho blue to start with. And one side is a detail, which is a thin line, and one side is the brush, which is the wider line. So it makes it easy to know which you're using. I'm going to color his head covering. And I love these. When they're full of ink. This one is good. My crumb cake, not so much. We used it so much that I need to order a new one. But again, most of this, it's doing the work for you. It looks like I've done all this shading, and really I've just laid down a solid panel of color. I can go back in if I want to add a little bit more color or definition in certain areas, a little more pop of blue. And then I'm going to use the detailed side to do his little belt. And then we're going to the crumb cake, which again, I said my crumb cake is a little dry, but we're going to go with it. Usually with this brush side too, I like to kind of almost use the side of the marker. This one, the tip has gotten abused, and so it doesn't have a nice tip on it anymore. But again, I'm just adding that solid color. And this is taking longer with the drier one, but there's a little bit of his robe down here behind the sheet. Maybe actually if I use the detail side, I can get that a little better. There we go. And then I'm going to go back in with actually the darker. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. Is this the dark? This is the dark crumb cake. I don't want a lot of this one, but just to pull in some of that. And then again, they're called blends, so once I do that, I can just go back in and help blend that a little bit. But it does make coloring so quick and easy. Makes it really nice. I've actually got a little bit darker one. I think this is pecan pie. Yeah, this is the light pecan pie. And I'm going to just put that on there. Might go back in again, pop that blue out a little better. And then for the grass, oops. These I know are tough to get off and on, but they do that on purpose because you those are alcohol based, so you don't want them to dry out. This is olive green, just adding a little bit of pop down there. And then I even have a little bit darker if I want to add a little darker. And then for the sheep are pretty much colored. I really don't need to do much with them, but I do have this light gray granite that I just touched a tad bit on here for them. And then I'm also going to go ahead and pull in the Bethlehem, and I'm just going to add a pop of color to that as well. Not necessary, I guess, but just makes it a little more interesting. So I'm just adding a little bit of the blue, some of the green in the trees. Probably hard to tell from, I'll pull it up to the camera here in a minute, and then you can tell that it definitely adds a bit of interest to it. And then let's go in with this. Actually, let's use this other side. There we go. So it just adds a little bit of color to that. And then the last thing I want to do with this is I want to take my Winkostella. I had it sitting here, and I'm like, what did I do with my Winkostella? Oh, here we go. Winkostella, I've been using this almost all week. I love it. So I'm going to take it, and I'm going to add a touch of this glitter, like just to the sheet. since they're supposed to be snowy white. And then I might just add a little bit to his head covering, just like the edges, like if the light were to touch it. And then the same thing on my my little Bethlehem, just add a little touch of that sparkle. And it's not a lot, and it's probably not something you can see in the camera per se. I'm trying to pull in some light, more light here to see. I don't know that you can see it, but it does add just a little bit of shimmer to the card. All right. Those are my pieces and parts. And then the other thing that we need to do is we need to do our star. And so I'm going to take, and we are going to emboss this. For this, I'm using Versamark ink pad, and I've got some of our embossing powder that I stuck in a little tray here. When I'm doing a lot, I just use this huge tray, and then I can pour it back out. But I've had this in here for in my class, so, and have it sealed up. But we have an embossing buddy that we use, and basically it's almost like, I want to describe it as like almost like cornstarchy, and it's just going to add some of that to there so that it gets rid of the static. And this will make sense in a minute. I'm going to open this up. This Versamark is a really tacky, sticky ink. It's really cool because you can use it on just, actually I'll show you on this card because this is going to get covered up so we won't see it. But it's a Versamark so that you could stamp it, and when you stamp it on a solid sheet of cardstock, it would just give you a Versamark, like a little watermark. Can you see that? It looks a little bit shiny right now because it's wet, but it would just dry and it would just have a darker tone on tone. So it makes it great for use for like backgrounds to make your own cardstock and that kind of thing. But for this, because it stays tacky, it doesn't dry right away, we can add embossing powder to it and emboss. So we're going to take this, and I'm going to attempt to stamp this in the center. Okay. And again, it's really nothing you can see. It's clear. But I have these tweezers, and I'm going to dip it into my embossing powder. And see, as I mentioned, the embossing powder sticks to it. Okay. Now, you don't want to touch that because it's not something that will be, it's not like a glue that will dry. If I touch that, it would just rub right off. But I take one of our stamp and heat tool, and I can heat it up. And this shouldn't be too loud, but it's like the embossing powder is like a plastic, and so what we're doing is we're adding heat to it, and when we add heat to it, it melts it. Usually takes a second for it to get going, but once it starts, there we go. I don't know if you can see that starting to change colors in the camera there, but it's turning from a dull powder to a shiny gold metallic. So cool. Oops. So let me turn this off. I love our heat tool. It has a low setting and a high setting, although I don't think I've ever used the low setting. It has a little leg, you know, so it can stand on your desk. And compared to our old one, it has this protective covering on here so you don't burn yourself, because that metal tip in there gets super hot. So I love it. And here's the thing, you don't want to really touch on that right away because it's hot and it's kind of goopy and you might smear it. So usually I just let it sit for a second and then it'll be fine. But what's nice is when I use the embossing buddy, it took all the static away. And so when I stamped, then all the powder adheres to just where the Versamark ink is, and it doesn't adhere to the rest of it. If I didn't use the buddy, sometimes because of the static and the dryness in the air, I would have some of that embossing powder that would stick to the rest of it. And that really shows up on like dark cardstock. I love that. It just adds a wow factor. But like I said, usually this little embossing buddy system, you can scrape that back into your little thing of powder, which we have a bunch of different colors. We were out of all of them for so long, but we have them all back in stock now. Okay, I think we have all our pieces and parts. So let's go ahead and let's put this together, ladies. Scoot my chair in here so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so here's my base. I'm going to take and run some adhesive on this strip right here. And this is going to get attached to this front portion that's folded, just like so. I've got that on there. And then this center piece right here is where this is going to go. Again, I'm just going to put my adhesive on here. And we're going to attach this to here. I really love the simplicity of how this card is made. I've seen some of these cards that are like this, that have this fold, but then it's complicated and there's a bunch of die cutting that you have to do. But this one is so easy. Is just this piece, and then we have this piece, and this is going to end up going just right on top of here and attached like so. And so it just makes it so easy to assemble and put together. So this one I've designed so it's a layered piece, and it's going to layer onto my boho blue. I love this blue. And then that is going to get attached to this. This is going to be the front. And then on the back is basically my sentiment, my message that normally would be on the inside of your card. And I'm going to attach that to the back. I could have layered that one too, but I decided to keep it one layer because once this is folded up and put in your card, there's a lot of layers right here. So I was trying to keep that down. The other thing is my piece on earth. We'll go ahead and layer that. My front sentiment, we're going to layer that also on boho blue. Okay, and then we're going to put this together. Now, when I did the first time when I did this, I did pop this up on the front. But like I said, I realized once you have all these layers, because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, like there's 12 layers, like it's crazy how many layers are in here. So it makes it really bulky. So I actually now think it's better just to add adhesive and not pop that one up. But I'm just going to add a strip of adhesive down there, line this up where I want it. I'm just basically, it's just going to line up at the bottom. Actually, I'm going to slide it over so we can see this whole dove right here. It's just going to line up at the bottom. I'm going to add another strip on here just to make sure. Oops. I ran out of my Stampin' Seal, and I'm using an old refill that really doesn't go in here, and it's like the old Fast Fuse, and so it fits in there. It's just not happy. All right, so there, I attach that to the base, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the back here, and this one it can attach. I'm going to run adhesive right here, and then down here, and then maybe one in the center there too as well. So I'm going to fold that down, and that's just going to go straight to the bottom there. So that's attached on there like that. How cool is that? Makes a nice little tent card. And then we're going to attach the piece on earth, and I am going to pop this one up. I think what I'm going to do, oh, I don't know if I have any more of my baby. I have the mini. Oh, I do. I have some. I like these little mini glue dots, or dimensionals, not glue dots. But I only want to put the adhesive on the bottom of this because, let's see, let's do here, or at least right there. And it looks like we're going to put one here. Just for the heck of it here, I'm going to put 3 on here. You could also just cut a strip on the end. And then that is just going to go, I'm going to pull it here closer so I can see exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to stick it on about like that. Okay, so that gives it some dimension on there. And then last here, attachment-wise, we're going to put our star up here above Bethlehem. The thing you want to make sure with this one is when you put it, you don't want it to go above the top of this card because you want it to be able to fit into an envelope. So the dimensionals need to just go right here towards the bottom. So let's see. Sometimes I feel like this star looks better a certain way, but I don't know. Oops, I think I accidentally pulled off 2 dimensionals. Let's see, how many do I want to put here? I'm going to put 1 there, and then I'm going to stick... Actually, I think I'm going to clip this, because I don't know if it's going to fit completely right. So I'm going to stick a dimensional there and 1 here. I think I stamped my Bethlehem a little lower than I did on my other card, so we'll see how this goes. And it's just going to go right here. Trying to make sure it doesn't show through the back there. And then I have this ribbon. So pretty. And I'm simply going to take it and just make a knot. I'm not even going to do a double knot. I'm just doing a single knot on here. Kind of flatten that out a little bit. And then I'm just going to use our glue dots to adhere it to the card. All right, and I'm just going to attach it like right about there. Oh, I just love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, and then I'm going to take my ribbon scissors and just trim that off. Trim that bow off. How cool is that? Now I've got glitter everywhere. And okay, last thing. I was like, I know there's something else. There's one more thing. I'm going to take my pick tool. I have this gem. And I'm going to put it right in the center of that star. Get this out of the way. Here we go. And here it is. Can you see that shiny? Oh, I just love it. And then when you turn it over, there's where your message is. You could sign it here with a paint pen or in here. I just love it. I love it. How fun would this be, too, to do a Christmas card that's a photo Christmas card? I might have to play around with that. Like this could be a family photo, your Christmas photo, and you could, you know, stamp whatever, have a message here. But that would be really fun, too. Or you could put the photo on the back, even. And you could add another panel on here and do your writing or stamping here and have a photo on the back instead of the front. So I just love that, and so cute with the envelope. That's the card for today. How fun was that? So just a reminder, let's see. Let me pull these all back in. I don't think I have all the envelopes for all these, but let's just pull the cards in. So this was card 1 that we did, featuring that reindeer. Card 2, how fun was that one? A little bit different colors than what is typically Christmas. This one's card 3 that was more neutral, and then the Shepherd's Care card with the blues and the golds, very elegant. So lots of fun cards, and I'm so glad I got to share all this with you this week. This has been really fun doing this. Just a reminder, this was all from my Christmas card Stamp-A-Stack, and if you missed out, we had fun. We had 3 days of ladies in the studio, which was so fun. My favorite thing is having ladies here stamping. Let me go ahead and flip the camera back around so we can finish chatting. Thank you, ladies. This has been fun this week, coming in and sharing these with you. And I hope you enjoyed it. And let me know what your favorite card was. Was it number 1, number 2, number 3, or was it number 4? Let me know which one was your favorite card for this week. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you back here another day. Bye-bye, ladies.